Okay, I think I'm live and I'm waiting for people to join this one. Am I public? Yes. Cool. My overlay. What's up, Darius? People need to be relocated to this chat. Hey, I just started a live stream. I gotta do this. I love you, buddy. The reason for the late stream, because everyone's making comments about why I'm going live later, is because I was on a plane all day. I was in Oklahoma for the last 5 or so days. And because of that, I had to fly home today. And I didn't want to go without making a video. I know some people have got to get out of here. They got work in the morning, got to go to bed, whatever you got to do. Totally understand, so you don't got to be with us. But there are some people who don't have work in the morning, or some people who just like to stay up late with me. So what's happening? Haven't talked to you in about 5 or so days, something like that. I was in Oklahoma with my dad watching the bowl games. They were incredible. Let me start there. I had a really good time. As you know, I like to bet on, well, during this bowl season, I bet on every single game. Now, unfortunately, I didn't win them all, but I did win some, and I won some for 2-3 units. So I had pretty close to a break-even bowl season, so I hope you guys had a good bowl season as well. Overall, there were some really good games. There were some really exciting ones to watch, and that's why I wanted to hop on here. I wanted to get your thoughts on them. I wanted to give you my thoughts on them. And when I was on the plane today, because it was about a 3-hour and 40-minute flight back from Oklahoma, I was just thinking about, next year, there should be a lot of positive momentum, obviously, with recruiting, with this new coaching staff. And now, watching the way college football has changed, and talked about it before, this isn't anything new, but the way college football has changed, I have a lot of hope. I'm really optimistic. Now, do not get me wrong. I will not come out swinging, and I will not come out with a pitcher of Kool-Aid telling you that this is a 9-win team. I didn't do it last year either, but I'm definitely not doing it this year because, we got to see him prove something. It's been down bad for years upon years upon years, so we got to give him time to breathe. With all of that said, today was exciting because Nebraska landed 2 new commitments. I told you, there were new guys coming. One of them was Ethan Nation. That was the one everyone wanted to know. Who signed on signing day, who didn't announce? It was Ethan Nation. So now we finally have the confirmation after he announced it. The #1 corner in the state of Georgia, right? Is that correct? So here's Ethan. He's the 5th rated, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th rated guy in the class per On3 above Jaden Doss, Maverick Noonan, Gunnar Gatula. So yeah, pretty good. And Nebraska is now sitting at 29th nationally. Huge jump. To finish with a top 30 class is, I would say, a big deal in Rhule's first year. I would say it exceeds expectations for most of us. It for sure exceeded my expectations. I don't know what the number was. I'm sure I put it out there. I think I said somewhere in the 40-ish range, 40 to 50. I thought 40 to 50 signing day class would be fair. Now, a question I have, which has not been answered yet, because let's context. Last year in the 24/7 class, and even in the On3 class, I believe, Nebraska had 2 separate classes. They had the number 35 National Signing Day class for high school players, and then they had the number, 7? I think number 7 signing day class for transfer portal guys. In this new On3 setup, they've included the transfer guys. See, at the bottom of this list, you've got Ben Scott, Marco Ortiz, Chief Borders, Josh Fleeks, Jeff Sims, Elijah Judy, and Corey Collier. They're all included. So I'm not sure if the if the ranking is accumulation of transfers or just that class. Because when I click on transfers, there is no ranking. So yeah, a little bit confusing. Regardless, Nebraska has a lot of really good talent coming in. They have guys who can start immediately. I'll tell you what I'm excited to do. And I know people have been asking me, so it's going to get done in the month of January, maybe late January. I'm going to have to do a video where I preview the depth chart because there's going to be a lot of new faces. We don't know who's going to come out and prove themselves right away, but we do know who's going to compete for time at the very least and make some sort of an impact. So it's exciting. There's a lot going on. Other news, I told you that I might be going to the national championship game with my dad. We are for sure going to the national championship game. That'll be the cheapest ticket for a national championship game in years. Trying to get centered on the camera. Anyway, cheapest ticket for a national championship game in years. Number one, because Georgia was just in the playoff in their home state, so a lot of fans already went to that. Number two, Georgia was just in the national championship last year, so a lot of fans already paid and traveled to a national championship last year. And then the third point, which is glaringly obvious, TCU is a very small school, nowhere near the same size as some of these other big teams like Ohio State or Michigan would have been. So there will be a lot less demand from from TCU fans to go to this game. So the stadium's about 35 minutes away from my house. That game's going to be next Monday. My dad flies out tomorrow, I think tomorrow or the next day, to LA. So he and I are going to go to that game. I'm super pumped up for it. It'll be my first national championship. And I think people want me to make a little vlog going to that. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely put a little vlog together showing my first national championship game experience. So yep, that's what's going on. Just to give you a little update. Sean said, I never answered his questions. Sean, what questions you got? I'm right here for you. Right now is the time. Roger, thank you. The watch looking good today. I appreciate it. Let's see. Ryan says, what do you think of the wide receiver coach? So I don't want to get too deep into that because I know very little. All I know is what you know, and that's what you've read. I need to do a lot more research. I've been messing around these last few days, a little bit of a vacation, a holiday. So I got to do my research. I got to get back into making my full in-depth videos. And one of those videos is probably going to be one where I rank the entire assistant staff. I'll rank them 1 to, I think, 9, 10. So when I do that, I'll have a good synopsis on the new wide receivers coach, on the new linebackers coach. I know a little bit more about the linebackers coach because we've known he was coming for the last 3 weeks at least. But the wide receivers coach, that was I would say news to me and to the rest of us. So it wasn't shocking because we knew he'd go and get someone who was probably off the cuff, someone that was a little random, I think is the right word for it. We knew Joe Daly wasn't coming. We knew he wasn't going to go after Keith Williams, the former Nebraska wide receivers coach under Mike Riley. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised it was an outsider, but I was surprised it was a guy who's so young. The notable thing there that you guys all know is he's the son of a former Matt Rhule coach who's now very successful as the head coach at Texas Tech. So, some things positive there. Yeah, I'm excited. Isaac says Purdue embarrassed the Big Ten. With this bowl opt-out season, with the amount of players who don't play, it's tough. The other thing is Purdue sucks. I said Purdue sucked when Nebraska lost to them, and they sucked again against LSU. Yeah, they didn't have a lot of their players, but they didn't have their coach either. But it doesn't matter. Purdue sucks. I hated the whole narrative this year that the Big Ten West had any good teams, and it wasn't you guys saying it. It was opposing teams. It was Illinois fans and Wisconsin fans and Purdue fans who were saying their team, not Wisconsin fans. They were actually as down on their team as we were as Nebraska fans on our team. But Purdue fans and Illinois fans had this false belief in their head that those teams were good. No, they had a few good players. They had a couple good coaches, but they were not good, complete teams like they had been sold to me as. Let's see here. We got some good comments about the bowl games. So apparently you guys were watching them too. Steven says Purdue lost their coach to another school. Yes, they did. They lost their coach to another school and they picked up a really good coach. What do you think of the QB competition? Okay, these are some good comments. I'm going to get to the comments in 1 minute. I want to talk about what I thought about some of these bowl games, what I learned from some of these bowl games, because there was some crucial information out there. I want to start off with the number one thing I learned, and it was in this game. It was USC and Tulane. First, let me say, you guys remember back in November when it was USC versus Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. I made a comment and I said, hey, this is my slam, my Hail Mary. I know for a fact USC's going to win. My words, I said that. USC's going to crush Utah. That's what I said. I said I was slamming that game. I was putting a lot of money on it. I did. I put a lot of money on USC to beat Utah that day. Things did not go my way. Now, things would have gone my way, and things did go my way for the first half, but things went left when what happened. And stay with me here because this is all going to tie in to my thoughts on Nebraska and their future and what Matt Rhule should learn from watching these games, which I'm sure he did learn. Anyway, in that game, a certain player, a Heisman quarterback, got hurt. He was one-legged the rest of the day. You guys watched the game, you remember. But there was this false narrative, not false, there was this bullshit narrative that people created, that people tried to sell on Instagram, that people tried to sell on Twitter, that Utah was this tough, physical, dominant team, and that USC had no chance to begin with because they were in no way as prepared physically as Utah was. Now, I agree that USC got out physicaled with Utah. There's no question about that. But you know what you know why USC lost to Utah that day? It's because they didn't have a backup quarterback. It's because they didn't have someone serviceable. In this game right here, they lost the game because of the physical component at the very end, right? But in that game before, it wasn't that. And in this game right here, what we learned is Caleb Williams can put up 45 points, just like he would have on Utah that day. What was the main point that I'm making from here? That if you don't have a deep room of quarterbacks, you cannot win games. You cannot compete to win championships. Last year, we talked about it before, Casey Thompson gets hurt, and you've got all these backups who cannot compete to win championship games. What happens? You don't compete to win any games, let alone championship games. Then I got to bounce over really quick to another game to tie in and finalize this point. What happened in the game yesterday in Pasadena? You were watching. It was a 14-14 game right here. 7-7 Penn State, 14 Utah in the second quarter. What happened? Quarterback goes down. What happened after that? Utah scored one more time in garbage time. Penn State ran it up 21 points and dominated Utah. Was Utah severely less physical? No. Was Utah the terrible team in this situation? Were they not fit to be on that field? No. They were a 3-point favorite open, and they moved to a 1-point dog. Whatever way you look at it, they were supposed to be competitive in that game down to a point, win or lose. They lost by 3 touchdowns. Why? Because they didn't have a quarterback, and if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win games. If Nebraska doesn't develop their quarterback room, if they don't turn Jeff Sims and Casey Thompson into guys who can both win games as starters, they will fail in the long run because quarterback injuries happen, just like every other position injury happens, and you can't make it through an entire season without 2. It's a fact. That's what I learned. That was the first thing I learned, and it started off in that Pac-12 championship game. Because I watched USC up 17-3 get blown out without an offense. Get blown out when they became one-dimensional, the same way Nebraska got blown out against Michigan, the same way Nebraska got beat down by Illinois, only without a quarterback though, and the same way that Nebraska got beat down slowly. It was slow and it was ugly by Minnesota. It was not a solid beatdown. Minnesota was clearly, we'll call them the better team, but they were clearly not that much better than Nebraska was when you look at the players they were lining up against, because Nebraska was in it almost the entire way through until they became one-dimensional on offense and couldn't make a move. Quarterback play is crucial. The next thing I learned, get back to full frame. The next thing I learned, we're getting back to USC. It's about the defense, because the USC defense, and I'm not going to blame USC. You know who I'm going to blame and who everyone's blaming right now? It's the guy who was born on third. That's what everyone's telling me. This coach named Lincoln Riley, who brought over his defensive coordinator from Oklahoma to USC. He was given more money. He was told, we are committed to success. We are committed to fixing what is wrong. Bring whoever you got to bring. Let's do this the right way. You're the best offensive mind in college football. Do what you got to do to win. Lincoln Riley comes to USC, and what does he do? He brings a guy who's the same level as the former Nebraska defensive coordinator, who just couldn't get it done, wasn't a fit to be a defensive coordinator, in my opinion, and apparently in Boise State's opinion, because Eric Shenander is now a defensive line coach at Boise State. Anyway, the point in me saying this is, Nebraska cannot afford to go after weak coaches who are going to hold Matt Rhule back, and Matt Rhule knows that, and Matt Rhule went outside the box. He went and got a guy who runs the 3-3-5. The 3-3-5 that was successful in stopping Michigan. The 3-3-5 who else ran the 3-3-5? There was another team yesterday or the day before that ran the 3-3-5 and stomped out whoever they played. I don't even remember who it was. Now that I'm scrolling. TCU and someone else. Doesn't matter. Point is this. If you have a crappy coordinator, you got to get rid of him. USC lost back-to-back games. They gave up. No. They lost 3 games. Not back-to-back. Back-to-back-to-back. They lost to... No, they won, actually. Their defense lost to UCLA because they gave up over 40. Then they lost to Utah. I mean, like I said, that was tough because the quarterback went out, became one-dimensional, and you have no shot in that circumstance. But still, the defense did them no favors. The defense got out-physicaled by that offense that day, by a freshman running back that day. Back on track. Then USC, yesterday, absolutely crumbled. I'm sitting in my dad's house, right? He's a big USC fan. USC donor. I grew up season tickets to USC. My whole thing is USC outside of Nebraska. I know USC football like I know Nebraska football. Okay, we're watching that game. I bet on Tulane. I'm sitting there watching the screen, and I'm texting my friends because the game's over. It's done. 15 points. That's the distance between these two teams with 5 minutes left in the game. USC's defense is so bad that they could not stop Tulane on a game-winning drive. They had 2 4th downs. I think it was 4th and 4. Tulane's quarterback does what? He scrambles. What is he? A pocket passer. Why is their pocket passer scrambling for 4th and 4 to get a first down? Now, he may be a little bit of a dual threat because they force him to be, but that dude's not a burner. Let me tell you. You could put any type of spy on him and they will track him down. An outside linebacker will track that dude down, no problem. Now, what happened after that? They had a 4th and 10. Quarterback does what? There was no QB spy. The dude leaks out the left side, first down. And then the defense crumbles at the end, gives up another touchdown. If you can't play defense, you can't win games. If Lincoln Riley makes the mistake of retaining Alex Grinch for next year, it won't be next year because Nebraska doesn't get to play him for at least 2 more years. But it would be a beautiful sight to see USC play against some of these strong, run-heavy Big Ten teams. Because just like Utah did and scored 42 points back in October, the Big Ten would do it every week. Wisconsin would absolutely torch USC through the air. Braylon Allen would never get tackled. It would take 3 guys on USC's team to bring him down. I mean, the defense is imperative to winning football games. Lincoln Riley needs to fix it. I'm not sure he will. The last thing I learned, and that Matt Rhule very well knows now, times have changed. It does not take 3 years. It does not take 4. Now, for Willie Fritz, it took 6. But that's Tulane. Tulane went from 2 wins last year. Their final record last year, let me pull it up. I don't want you guys to think I'm lying to you. Tulane football 2021. Here you go. This is their record in 2021. Coach is in his 6th season. They went 2-10. Imagine being in your 6th year at Nebraska going 2-10. You think they keep you as the head coach? That is freaking wild. Besides the point, it's Tulane. This year, they finished 12-2. The game can change, and it can change fast. It did at Tulane, and I believe it will at Nebraska. Now, am I believing we're going to go from 4 wins or 3 wins? I don't even know how many they won last year. It doesn't even matter. I'm already trying to forget that season. Point is this. You can flip the script like that. You know what other teams turn things around rather quickly? Let me pull them up. Washington. This was a fun one. You guys had to have watched that Washington-Texas game. And I'm going to get to chat in a minute. I know I'm skipping out on a lot of chats and people are asking questions and have their comments. I just want to get my thoughts on here before I talk to you guys. Things changed quick at Washington. Hang on. I want to give the visual so you know I'm not lying to you and making shit up. Here it is. Washington last season, they went 4-8. They went 3-6 in the Pac-12. What happened this year? With a first-year coach, they went 11-2, 7-2 in the Pac-12, and I would argue that they have the best chance at winning the Pac-12 in 2023. I'd actually, if I had to put money on it, I would say Washington does it next year. They've got a returning quarterback, a coach who's going from his first year to his second year. His culture is going to be even better. His defense looked fantastic against Texas. Mind you, it was Texas, and Texas has severely disappointed. Sarkisian has been mid at best for the amount of money he's getting paid. Embarrassing. But here's the deal. It doesn't take long to fix a team. And part of the thing is there's two reasons for this. Number one, it doesn't take long to fix a team because you've got the portal, because there's all this attrition around college football and you can take all these different players. But the other thing is there's all this attrition around college football. The dominant teams are no longer as deep. And when those teams are no longer as deep, what happens? They become beatable. Tennessee beat Alabama this year. Alabama historically had one of the worst seasons under Nick Saban in the last 5-10 years. Why'd that happen? Well, because he doesn't have depth the way he used to have depth. And that's happening at all levels. It's happening across the country. And it's only going to help Nebraska. The last one, the obvious one, America's, do I dare call them America's team? I might have to, because we're all rooting for him next week. Last year with Gary Patterson in his 21st season, they finished 5-7. They missed a bowl game. TCU. Now, TCU's TCU. I think their enrollment's like, 12,000 students? It's a small school, private school in Dallas. What's the expectation there? They went to the Big 12 from the Mountain West. We're expecting them to win championships? Now, somehow, those guys came out of freaking nowhere, and I think in the first ever playoff, damn near got in. They finished in 5th, I think, right behind Ohio State. Who was their quarterback? Oh, man, I can't remember his name. Was it Boykin? I don't know. He's the athletic dude. Point is this. TCU 5-7 last year. They make the jump 13-1. You kidding me? 1 year from 5-7 to 13-1? They lost some serious talent to the portal as well. What happened? Well, they got a good coach. Not only did they get a good coach, they got a hot offensive coordinator. Their head coach, Sonny Dykes, years of being a head coach, years of mediocrity. He had Jared Goff at Cal. And I mean, they were okay, but 7 wins? I could look it up, but I'm not going to because it doesn't matter. I think he won seven games, maybe 8 at Cal with Jared Goff. Then you get Garrett Riley, Lincoln Riley's brother, who's never been a head coach, my understanding. Let me double check that. Don't want to lie to you guys. Yep, never been a head coach. He was a offensive coordinator for 2 years at SMU, running backs coach at Appalachian State. Doesn't matter. The point is this. He went and found the right offensive coordinator. He went and found the right guy, and he is building a monster. How long will Garrett Riley last at TCU? That dude could have been a one and done, if we're being honest. There are a lot of there are a lot of schools who need proven coaches. That guy is the definition of a proven coach, a proven offensive coordinator, a guy who has ties to one of the best coaches in college football. I mean, yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Let me see if I had anything else on this list. Oh, I talked about the quarterback depth. That's obviously important. The last thing is that I learned from these bowl games. There were 2 games that stood out to me. You guys watched them both. No, you probably didn't watch one of them. You watched one, though. You watched this one. This was Tennessee versus Clemson. Now, Clemson is, I don't know what to call them right now. I guess they're not on the decline. I don't want to say that. They're plateauing for right now. They're just kind of sitting where we've seen Clemson for the last few years. They haven't gotten back to their dominant status that we saw, in 2017, 2018. But that doesn't matter. Here's what I'm here to talk about. Tennessee had plenty of opt-outs. Their quarterback tore his ACL. Their number 1, their number 2, and their number 3 receiver all left for the NFL draft. They had some guys on defense not playing. Clemson, I think they lost 2 starters max. Tennessee was what were they? I think it started at a 4-point, moved to 7-point underdog. Tennessee didn't need any points. They cruised. They dominated Clemson. Clemson, who in theory has better coach. Well, not in theory. They do have a more proven coach in Dabo. They probably have more proven players because they're deeper long-term. They've had guys who've been there for a while, right? Their quarterback, not so much, but regardless. Tennessee had the depth, and that's what made them winners in this game. That's what put them as Orange Bowl champions, because they had the depth. If they didn't have the depth, they would have gotten rocked. So developing talent is something crucial for Matt Rhule. He knows it. But that's how you win these games, because there are a lot of guys who opt out. There are a lot of guys who get hurt. Things happen, especially in the Big Ten. Another game where depth was important. And this one, what do we say? Mind-blowing? We'll say mind-blowing. UCLA had DTR. He played his final game at UCLA, I believe. He's going to the NFL. They had a prolific offense this year. And they lost to Pitt, who didn't have their quarterback. They played with Nick Patty, who I think has started like 3 games his entire career, being there at 4 or 5 years. They didn't have a ton of guys on defense. Pitt's down bad. Pitt lost their whole team. They're not supposed to be able to beat UCLA. Not that UCLA is an amazing program, but UCLA had a really solid year. UCLA has a really good coach. UCLA had a lot of momentum. What are they doing losing to Pitt? Well, Pitt developed their backups, and Pitt's backups played better than UCLA's starters. UCLA was still happy to be in that bowl game. Whatever people want to say, unmotivated. No. UCLA had a good season. They wanted the momentum going into next year, in their final year in the Pac-12, to compete for a Pac-12 championship. They almost beat USC this year. They took it toe-to-toe with Oregon for the first half. Doesn't matter. The point is this. These 2 teams demonstrated that if you can build out your depth and be successful in the 2 and the 3 group, that you can win big games. Those were the 3 or 4 things. I don't remember how many I talked about, but those are the few things I learned in bowl season. It was fantastic to watch all these games. As you guys know, they were fun. There were some that were up and down. Some were very emotional for me because I had a lot of money bet on them. Some I was excited about, some I wasn't. But either way, it was fun. Ryan says he's got 500 on TCU. Wish me luck. Ryan, I might be riding with you, bro. I might be riding with you. Matthew says he didn't notice any teams that looked unmotivated except Kentucky. I would say the most unmotivated team to me was Florida. They did not look like they wanted to play against Oregon State, and it showed in the score. Kentucky didn't look motivated, but Kentucky didn't have any players either. I don't know what the deal was there. A little bizarre. PL says, have you covered the Nebraska commits? I have not. I mean, there's not much to talk about with them other than what you guys know. Cameron Lenhart signed with Nebraska. He's a 4-star defensive end from IMG Academy, and I don't know how fast he could play, but Nebraska signed a lot of defensive ends, so he's just going to bolster that room. They're going to have a lot of competition. We'll see how it shakes out. And Ethan Nation, the number 1 corner in Georgia, he signed a month ago, but he finally announced it today. Ethan Nation should bring competition to that room too. Maybe like a Malcolm Hartzog. I don't know how quickly he can play and contribute, but we'll have to see. Okay, I'm going to get back through chat because I want to get to what you guys have to say. The reason I'm here is to talk to you guys. Can't just talk to the camera all day. Okay, Husker JPEG says, who is the solid number 3? That's a great question. We're going to have no clue because we don't even know who the solid number 1 or number 2 is yet, right? I mean, we know who the number 1 and 2 are going to be, but at number 3, you're going to have a Logan Smothers, Chubba Purdy, Richard Torres, and Heinrich Haarberg, all in theory competing for that job. If I had to make a prediction today, I would say it's Heinrich Haarberg. That would be my guess, but I don't know. Good question. Cody's tuning in from Eastern Oregon. Where else are you guys at? I know it's 7:45 at my house. I'm in LA, but where are you guys? Because it might be late in some parts. Matthew says the Pac-12 was pretty disappointing, and the Big Ten looked very lackluster in bowl games. The Big Ten wasn't very good this year. Let's just be straight up honest. Michigan was severely overrated. Ohio State showed up. They looked awesome. Not awful. They looked awesome. I really wish they could have pulled that out. I would have loved to see Ohio State play TCU for the championship. But, you know, Georgia's clearly the better team. Georgia finished, and Georgia did not play their best day. They had an okay day. I felt like Ohio State did play their best game, despite not having Marvin Harrison in that second half. Man, that field goal was painful. Felt bad for that dude. But, you know, I had Ohio State +6, so I wasn't too upset. I was just happy they competed the entire way through and made it a fun game. Dash Camera says Bama's weak at wide receiver. Bama is weak at wide receiver. They lost a lot of guys to the portal. I'm not sure why they lost so many to the portal. I guess those guys just weren't very good. Because if you're playing on a Bama team with what arguably we could say is the worst receiver core at Bama under Nick Saban, and you can't start there right now, you're probably not a very good receiver relative to Bama and their standards. Now, around, the Big Ten, you might be a good receiver. In the Pac-12, you might be a good receiver. I know some of the Bama guys. I think Holden went to Oregon. He was like a rotator deep down the list. But either way, doesn't matter. We don't need to get too deep into Bama receivers. We're not here for that. Let's see. Mark says Clemson is the most overrated. Or no, is overrated in the most overrated conference. Yeah, they are an overrated conference. The only team that was really good in there this year was Florida State. I really want to see Florida State coming back to the top because they haven't been good in a long time. I didn't like Florida State when they were at their peak because I didn't really like, what was his name? Jameis Winston. I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way. I think it was the crab legs. But either way, it'll be good to see them be good again. Husker fan says, do you think Nebraska has a chance at Ohio State transfer Javonte Jean-Baptiste? Yeah, so that dude was, I think, a Nebraska commit in 2018. Now he's in the portal. He's played. I don't think he was a starter, but he has played at Ohio State. I think he had 4 sacks or something this year. I don't know. Don't quote me. But he did have some good stats or decent stats. So if Nebraska could get him, that'd be pretty exciting because he's a proven edge. So we'll see. Not sure how that'll play out. The transfer portal is the great equalizer. No 5-star is going to ride the bench at Bama for more than a year. One and done mentality. And that's the same way it is everywhere else. No one's going to ride the bench. If you're a 5-star and you're supposed to play right away, they don't want to ride the bench. There were a ton of transfers today even. I saw, CJ Williams, 5-star wide receiver from, I think he went to Mater Dei. 5-star Mater Dei wide receiver, commits to USC, goes to USC, doesn't play very much because USC's loaded at receiver. They've got Jordan Addison. They've got Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son. They've got Taj Washington from Memphis. They have Mario Williams, who transferred in from OU. Anyway, they have a freaking wide receiver core if I've ever seen one. Fast, lanky, dudes who can win the deep ball. I mean, USC's loaded. CJ Williams, though, has a bright future. He's playing with Malachi Nelson in the future. And he enters a transfer portal? This transfer portal shit is crazy. You're already at a school that, I mean, they haven't done it recently, but USC's known for putting out great receivers. Lincoln Riley is known for putting out great quarterbacks. And he's known for throwing the ball. Why are you, CJ, transferring as a 5-star receiver who's only played 1 year from USC to go to what? Tennessee, I guess? Tennessee airs it out. TCU, they air it out. No proven quarterback behind Duggan. I don't know, man. Rubs me the wrong way. Doesn't make sense. The math doesn't add up. I don't understand it. These guys want playing time fast. Now, maybe there's something else that I don't know about. Maybe something happened with his girlfriend. He can't be in LA anymore. But the math doesn't add up. Husker Nation, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you for being a member. I get a lot of messages asking how to be a member. And guys, if you're on your iPhone, you can't become a member on your iPhone. It's stupid. I have no idea why. But on a tablet, on an Android, or on your desktop, you just click the join button next to the like and next to the subscribe. That's how you become a member. Super simple. Okay, back to your comment, Husker Nation. Casey's stats are near that of Martinez. How does Casey compare with the new QB coming in? Also, how many 4-star recruits have committed? 4-star recruits that have committed, I think we're at 4. Let me double check that. 4-star recruits. We've got Malachi Coleman, Prince Will, not going to butcher his last name, Riley Van Poppel, Cam Lenhart. That's 4. Cam's a defensive end. Van Poppel's a defensive tackle. Prince Will is a defensive end, and Malachi is a wide receiver. Those are our 4-star recruits. Not that stars matter, because there are guys on this list of commitments who are going to probably be as impactful or more impactful than some of the 4 stars in recent history. So, stars only matter so much. Okay, Second question, how does Casey compare to the new QB coming in? So the way I think about it is you have two types of QBs. You have guys who are ultra smart, ultra competitive, who are going to be successful because of those two things, right? And then you have guys who are just naturally gifted, guys who were born with abilities that we weren't. Most of us weren't. I'm sure there's some of you who are physically gifted, but I'm not. I'm 5'10". I'm 180 pounds. When I played football, I was only like 200. I ran like a 4.5. I'm whatever. Casey is really talented, but he doesn't have the physical gifts that Jeff Sims has. The comparison comes when you watch them run, when you watch them throw the deep ball. Now, I want to be careful in that deep ball comment because Casey last year had a serious shoulder injury, and that shoulder injury supposedly limited his deep ball. If that's the case, then I don't know. Maybe they do have similar arm talent. But based on what we saw last year, based on just that, because I don't know, I haven't seen much film on Casey outside of last year. The more talented quarterback, the guy who's got the physical gifts, is Jeff Sims. The quarterback who's smarter, who understands the game better, I would have to guess Casey. He's 25 years old. He's played a lot. He hasn't played and started more games, but he has played for a longer period of time. Obviously, he's 4 years older than Jeff Sims, who just turned 21. I would say that when we get out to the field, or when they get out to the field, when Matt Rhule has to evaluate him, he's going to probably lean Jeff Sims because of his physical gifts. But if Casey is extremely smart and understands the game better, throws less interceptions, makes better decisions with the ball, and gets his team, puts his team in better positions to win, I would say Casey compares almost equally to Jeff Sims, just in a different way. So that's my thoughts so far, but we'll see. Things change, and we'll learn more. Dashcammer, thank you for the $20. Thank you for being a member. Let me find your comment. You popped one up here. Oh, this is a great comment for the $20 super chat. Runza is running their Tuesday low temperature Runza pricing again. I wish I was there. I would love a Runza right now. Just so you guys know, I landed today. It is 56 right now. It was like 45 when I first landed. That's freaking cold out here. I was wearing this, no sleeves. It was cold outside, so I could definitely use a warm Runza right now. Let's see. Daniel's trying to be cute. He thinks he's got jokes, but I don't fall for those jokes. I'm an adult. Scott's Tot says Jeff Sims will be QB1 guaranteed. Bold statements. I might have said something similar. Lindsay, I might have said something similar, but I don't know. Michael, just got the wristbands, and I love wearing them at the gym. I love to hear it, Michael. Guys, tonight, I'm sending out the rest of the merch orders. If you want to get stickers, wristbands, hoodie, whatever, I'm closing down the merch site after I send out these orders. So if you want to squeeze in your merch order before I close it down, it's corncraze.com. I'm going to fulfill those orders tomorrow. So site's coming down soon. But yeah, we're on the last time to order stickers or shirts or whatever. Let's see. We're all talking about Runzas now. Apparently Runza will ship to California. I don't know if that's true, but I would take it. Husker fan says Jeff Sims will have a head start with Casey dealing with injury. Casey's going to be limited. But I'll tell you what's really impressed me is how fast he's rebounded. I saw a clip of him on Instagram doing some sort of shoulder. What was he doing? I don't remember what it was. I just remember in my head, he was doing something, raises or rows or something with his shoulder. And he was implying that he had just had surgery and the rehab begins. So that dude's going to bounce back quick. Casey is not here to be a backup. Do not get confused. That dude did not come to Nebraska in the first place to be a backup and come back to Nebraska for an extra year to be a backup. So if there's a battle to watch, it's going to be that one. This will be the most fun, in my opinion, the most fun QB battle and QB conversation we've had since Adrian Martinez and Tristan Gebbia. Both of those guys were totally unproven, totally unknown, right? But both highly recruited 4-star guys in back-to-back classes from different coaches, and they had very different skill sets. Tristan Gebbia, pocket passer. Adrian Martinez, dual threat. We know how that played out. But this, we've got Casey, who I think has like 24 or 25 career starts. Jeff Sims, I'm getting my numbers confused. Jeff Sims might have 24 or 25, and Casey might have a couple less, something like that. Doesn't matter. Point is this. Guys are coming in to compete, and they've got a lot of proven history. They've done a lot already, and because of that, that makes this QB battle a lot more intriguing. So it'll be exciting, man. I don't know how it'll ship out or how it'll play out. I read Runza ships to Colorado, and I said, ship. You guys are ridiculous with this Runza talk. Getting me all distracted, talking about Whataburger and Five Guys. Listen, I just got off a plane for 4.5 hours. I haven't eaten yet. I'm trying to focus here. Flower says, I think the safest option going into the season will have to be Casey. Okay, chat, I want to know. I want to know. In the chat, are you ready? What's the safest option? Is it Casey? Or is it the quarterback who gives Nebraska the best chance to win? Let me know. Casey or the quarterback who gives Nebraska the best chance to win? Now, the quarterback who gives Nebraska the best chance to win is the field. It could be Casey, it could be Harbaugh, it could be Smothers, Chuba, or it could be Jeff Sims. I didn't say Jeff Sims. I said Casey or the field, essentially. Everyone's saying Sims. Jesus! Everybody's on Sims. I just said the field. Why are you guys calling out names? Everybody's saying Sims. Terrible, just terrible says Casey. Randall says Casey. B-Frey says Casey. But everybody else is on Jeff Sims. Hey, Judy. Guys, Judy's the oldest. No, not the oldest. I used the wrong term. Judy's been a fan of Nebraska the longest out of any of us here. I think Judy says she's been a Nebraska fan for like 70 years. So she beats me by about 55. Something like that. Judy's crushing it. Judy's still here. She shows up. She's always in the live streams. She's a freaking member. She comments on every video. I'll tell you what, a lot of people try to tell me I'm a loyal Corn Craze subscriber. Look, I know you're loyal. But Judy is on another freaking level. Just saying. I know Rhule thinks outside the box, but a 24-year-old coach, he's got kahunas. Listen, Matt Rhule's balls, we've seen Matt Rhule. He walks in like he's a freaking donkey. Okay? They're like this. This guy will take shots. He will take risks. He does not care. He does what he believes is the right thing to do. He's done it over and over. You know what he's done twice? I'll get to this comment. But you know what he's done twice? He went and hired a high school football coach and made him a tight ends coach when he was at Baylor. You know how that panned out? That same high school football coach turned tight ends coach has now turned into Texas Tech's head coach who led them to an 8-5 record this year and is fantastic. You know what he did again? He went and hired a high school football coach from, I think, Florida, and he turned him into an analyst. I think it's an analyst. Don't quote me. He then went and hired a high school football coach from Texas and made him a tight ends coach. Like I said, he's rocking a donkey setup. He's huge. Then, to top it all off, you know what I loved about Lane Kiffin? I loved a lot of things about Lane. But one thing I loved about Lane Kiffin, he went and hired a prodigy. A guy who's the son of a coach. You guys remember Charlie Weiss? Well, he's got a son named Charlie Weiss Jr. Lane made him, I think he made him his offensive coordinator. Maybe his quarterback's coach. Doesn't matter. He was helping call plays. Charlie Weiss Jr. is like my age, and he's been working for Lane, or he was working for Lane for like five years ago. No, I'm saying it wrong. He was working for Lane for like 3 years, starting 5 years ago at FAU, okay? Charlie Weiss Jr. is at USF or something now. I don't even know. Matt Rhule went and pulled a move very similar, talking about the donkey setup. He went and took a player, a guy who played for him at Baylor back in 2018 or 2019, something like that. That player, the son of the coach at Texas Tech, the son of the coach who he had promoted from high school to tight ends to then getting the Texas Tech job. That son is 23 years old. That son has never been a position coach once in his career. That son was an assistant at Carolina for the last 2 years. 23 years old. He's now the receivers coach at Nebraska? You're right, Judy. He's got a pair. I can't argue. Tater, thank you for being a member for 3 months with the red corn. Just want to say whoop whoop. 3 months, GBR. I appreciate you, Tater. It's been a long 3 months. A lot's happened in these 3 months. You know, it's been a roller coaster. It started off like this. No, it started off like this to start the season. And then after a few games, it went like this. And then it kind of plateaued, and it was just one of those lame roller coasters that sat. And then, you know, we got to that Iowa game, and it just started going up, and it's been going up. And then we got to signing day, and whoosh, it's just been this steep slope down. So thank you for being a part of that roller coaster. Appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who's been a member, everybody who's contributed to the channel, everybody who's commented, liked the video. Now's a good time to like the video. Everybody who signed up for Bro Throw, which is our channel sponsor and has been for a while. Everybody who's bought merch, everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's just done anything to support me or the channel. I appreciate the hell out of every single one of you. Sorry if that was loud and the mic's hot. Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting thought. I want to get back to asking chat what you think. This is in context, or the context here. This is about the two quarterbacks, Jeff Sims and Casey Thompson. So hypothetical, we're a long way away. We're 8 months away, right, from the season. But for fun, because we're here to have fun, let's say Jeff Sims and Casey Thompson possess the same ability to get it done, all right? And Matt Rhule is in a position where he's like, sheesh, I've got two quarterbacks, two guys who can win for me. Do you guys like this idea? Start both quarterbacks for the first 2 weeks. Let's say one gets the first half, one gets the second half. Do you like that? Or do you think Matt Rhule needs to be a man and make a decision come game day, come week 0 against Minnesota? Let me know, chat. Make a decision, or should he have a little competition during the season? I want to know. I want to know. Don't Get Me Started says, isn't it interesting that this offseason has been more exciting and entertaining than any of our last 8 seasons? Okay, I hate you for telling the truth, but listen. You're not wrong. But listen, last offseason was pretty damn exciting too. Last offseason, oh man, do you remember how drunk we were off Kool-Aid? Sheesh! That Mark Whipple juice, he had just come off that massive Pitt season, and then Kenny Pickett got drafted. In my heart, I was such a believer. Then you had Scott Frost. It was, I mean, like I said, college football is the best reality TV show, right? You had Scott Frost sitting on the bench. What do you call it? The guillotine. Scott Frost is sitting there with his hands and his head through the thing. He's got the fucking guillotine, right? He's sitting there, and we got to watch it play out. Did it get more exciting? I don't think so. Was it depressing? Of course. But could it have been more exciting? Probably not. You had everything on the line. Everything was out there. And that made it fun. That made it interesting. Unfortunately, we as Nebraska fans are tired of fun and interesting. We're tired of seeing a guy down to his last thumb. It's like he put his thumbs out on the table and we slice each one off. And it's like, okay, you're down to your last finger. That's terrible. Terrible way to live. Terrible way to get excited. But yeah, we're living in freaking Roman Coliseum time, I guess, where we're watching a guy die and we're just getting excited off that. It's terrible. I just want to see a guy win. I want to see a guy have hope. I want excitement that's positive excitement. And don't get me started. I feel like we've got some positive excitement. Might take some time to get it. But at least in the offseason, it's going to be exciting. Grant says, Connor, I absolutely love your show. What's better for Nebraska, gaining Josh Fleeks or losing Xavier Betts? Wow, what a hard hitter. Okay, listen, Grant. First off, thank you for loving the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. What's better for Nebraska? Listen, I really liked Xavier Betts as a player. I don't know him personally. Never talked to him. Actually, maybe talked to him on DM once, a long time ago. Beside the point. The point is this. Losing players is a negative way to look at it, and I'm not going to say anything that's negative about players because that's just wrong. I think that let's use the word shedding. Shedding certain energy to move forward to building a better, stronger, more positive culture who believes they can win is a massive plus at Nebraska. Gaining Josh Fleeks is awesome. I think that's a good thing, is to gain Josh Fleeks. There's no question. But is it better to gain a Josh Fleeks or to shed dead weight? I would argue that it's better to shed the dead weight than to gain Josh Fleeks. Now, if you're asking me what's better for Nebraska, Josh Fleeks or Xavier Betts straight up, I'm going to say Josh Fleeks, because Josh Fleeks has proven success with this coaching staff already, or at least a few of the coaches on this staff already. Because of that, I know that they have an idea of how they want to use him, and it gives me hope that he can be effective pretty much immediately. So, yeah, I think Josh Fleeks is a home run. All the comments about I forgot to go back to it. We were talking about whether the coach should make a decision or whether he should have the QBs compete during the season. Everyone here says the same thing. Galactus says it best. It's like the Highlander. There can only be one. Make a decision. I agree. Sounds like what Michigan did with Tom Brady. James, I don't remember that time because I think Tom Brady played at Michigan in '96. I would have been 3 years old. I don't know how that worked. Nesnash says decide on a QB. QB by committee is a stupid idea. Make a decision. Yeah, everyone's on the same page. You have to make a decision. You got to roll with it. If it's a shitty decision, pull him out, move on. But you got to make a decision and let him fail. You can't do this half in, half out deal. That half in thing, it messes with players' heads. It messes with the offense. The rhythm isn't right. It's not an option. If you're a big time program, if you're a big time coach, you put your donkey set on the line, just like Judy said he has. And you say, I'm making this decision and we're rolling with it. If it doesn't work out, I'll find a plan B. It's just the fact of the matter. So yeah. Dash Camera says original or Italian Runza. Look, I've never even heard of Italian Runza. I didn't even know they made an Italian Runza. Thinking about Runza flavor with Italian seasoning, to be honest, is just kind of, I would try it because I really do enjoy Runza, but are you trolling me? Can someone else confirm there's an Italian Runza? Because this just sounds like some BS. I would try it, though, if it was true. Okay. Is this a hypothetical? If Nebraska lands Dylan Rhule, yes, this is a hypothetical. Nebraska only needs a QB to start maybe 20 more games. Sims' longer remaining eligibility doesn't matter too much. Listen, I don't want to get too far off into fantasy land because I've been known to go there from time to time. I get excited and I live in this world where I fantasize about who the next Nebraska savior will be. And every time I get let down because there is no such thing as a Nebraska savior to this point, as we've seen for years and years and years and years and years. But listen, it's very important that Nebraska has a good QB because Dylan Rhule is not starting in year one. Freshman quarterbacks don't start year one for a reason. They have to learn the offense. They have to learn the system. Their bodies have to adjust. They're 17-year-old kids who need to grow into themselves, who need to be ready to compete with the highest level of competition. They need to be able to take hits, everything else that comes with that. You'd be much more comfortable with a quarterback in a dream scenario like Jeff Sims, who could start an entire year, let Raiola redshirt, play in some games, but not have to take over. In that circumstance, Jeff Sims would potentially have to start for 24 games. Let's say Casey starts, and then Jeff Sims starts. That's 24 games total. So we need I'm blanking. We need good enough quarterback play to get Nebraska through 24 games before Dylan Raiola would be ready in this Fantasyland scenario. But only in this scenario, because if this doesn't pan out, and we need a quarterback who can get him through the next 36 games. Because I don't know who the next one up would be. Judy says, after hearing the interview Rhule put out, I think he's really big on Sims. That's what I thought too. It sounds like he's really big on him. Jim, thank you for being a member. And thank you for the $5. If I see a comment from you, I will answer it immediately. Cody, I hope my last comment answered this question for you. Scott's Tot says Adrian Martinez was a true freshman starting QB. He was, but Adrian Martinez was a 4-win true freshman starting QB. I would prefer a starting QB who could get Nebraska to 8 or 9 wins when we're in Rhule's. What season would that be? Year 2? You don't see many true freshman starting QBs get to 9 wins. And let me know how many in today's modern era of college football, how many true freshman starting QBs are taking their teams to 9, 10-win seasons. Let me know. Because Trevor Lawrence was Kelly Bryant's backup for at least half the year, I believe. Maybe more. Let me know who else. I mean, I can't even think of people. And Tommy Frazier was a starting quarterback in the freshman season. But modern times, things have changed. And he was a running QB. I think it's different to have a running QB than it is to have a passing QB. But it is a good point, Minnie. I always see you in the chat, so thank you for being here again. Cody says, with Grant and Allen in the backfield, I wish we had some studs on the O-line. Okay, I think Nebraska's got some guys. I think the scheme was wrong. I think Mark Whipple built the offense. Okay, this is my understanding. I might be wrong. This is how I kind of picture it and imagine it. Nebraska ran an offense that focused on the athletes, the skill set. So what would happen is they'd devise a plan to make sure that the quarterback could win and that the receivers could get open, that they had the speed to win on the outside, and that their plays would work for those key players. The secondary thought was, okay, now let's make sure the offensive line moves the way it's supposed to move. Well, that's not how you win in the Big Ten. What really needs to happen is you say, okay, what do we have on the O-line? Who fits where? How can we make these pieces all work together? And then build an offense around that. Because without an offensive line, you don't have any receivers. Without an offensive line, you have a quarterback with a screwed up shoulder, a messed up knee, and whatever else you want to say. So I don't know that the offensive line is as bad as we thought it was. I think there's some hope there. And I think with a lot of freshman incoming talent coming in, maybe one of those is a diamond in the rough like Teddy Prohaska was. Maybe Ben Scott ends up being an all Big Ten player. He already has a lot of starting experience. And maybe Nebraska goes and gets one more guy out of the transfer portal. There are a lot of offensive linemen entering in there. So anything can happen. TJ, with the losses and gains, do you think we'll go bowling? Simple answer right now, if I had to predict, I would predict next year Nebraska goes bowling. Because this year, Nebraska, as bad as they were, Nebraska was a shit show this year. Nebraska was a mess. There's no getting around it. Nebraska had everything going against them. They had coaches who should not have been there for too long on defense. And they still found a way to keep it competitive in some games when they had no reason to be competitive with quarterbacks who were severely underprepared. They still could have been a team that went bowling. So yeah, next year I would say Nebraska goes bowling, strictly because coaching. The coaching upgrade is so huge. And the other thing is the Big Ten they're slipping, man. Now, there are a lot of variables that I'm not accounting for. Wisconsin very well could be a 10-win team next season. Luke Fickell is a proven coach who has a lot of talent. He's getting some good guys in the portal. If you have some Wisconsin magic, and Minnesota ends up rebuilding really well, Illinois ends up repeating, and Purdue, is as good as Nebraska, then anything can happen. But I would say I feel pretty good about our chances to go bowling. So we'll have to see with that. Who knows? This is a way too early prediction or guess. You know what I'm saying? Way too early. Gary, thank you for the $5. Love watching your show. Watching it from Manila, Philippines. I love to hear it. I'm betting it's a little, early in the morning over there. I've never been to Manila, Philippines. I've been to China. I've been to Sri Lanka. I've been to Singapore, but never Philippines. But I've heard Philippines is nice. I have a lot of friends who go over there and do some things. I've heard some stories. But we don't need to talk about that. Weston says Trevor Lawrence was a starting freshman QB. going back to the freshman QBs, and Caleb Williams was a freshman QB. They were freshman QBs who started games, but they did not take over as full-time starters until halfway through the season. I don't think Caleb came on until October. Trevor Lawrence, let's see. Trevor Lawrence stats. I'll tell you how many he started as a true freshman. College. But those are good ones. Those are good ones to point out. Oh, I guess as a freshman, what? I thought Trevor Lawrence didn't start as a true freshman. I thought Kelly Bryant started. Maybe I got that screwed up. Never mind. Take away Trevor Lawrence. I guess he did start as a true freshman. My mix-up. I was probably thinking of someone else. Trevor Lawrence started 15 games as a true freshman, threw for 3,200 yards. It was actually his best season, statistically. Or no, his second best season statistically, but he had the best interception to touchdown ratio. And he had the similar completion percentage. Anyway. There are a lot of good chats in here tonight, guys. It makes it more fun when you guys are active in the chat, because this is a big community. I wanted to talk about that really quick. So, off topic, I went to Arkansas today. I was in Oklahoma for the last like 5 days watching bowl games with my dad. So, I know I was in Oklahoma before too. So I went to Oklahoma before Christmas to hang out with my dad, my sister, and my dad's wife for Christmas, right? For like 3 days. Then I came back to LA. I went to my mom's in Orange County, hung out with her and my sister for Christmas. Then I came back to LA. I was here for a few days. Then I went back to Oklahoma, and I was there for like 5 days to watch all the bowl games. Just so happens, our show sponsor, Brothrow, the owner, lives in Arkansas, which is about 45 minutes away from my dad. So we text each other, and I was like, yo, I'm down the street. Let's meet up for lunch. So today, I went to lunch right before my flight with Brady, the owner of Brothrow. And he was talking about our community, the Corn Craze community. And they've sponsored a few different channels on YouTube. A golfer, a guy who does sports picks and parlays, another guy who talks about football, whatever. He's done a few. He's also done advertising through digital and magazines and everything else. He said, by far, this was the best campaign they've ever run. Shout out to you guys. And that he loves all the marketing I've done, and that the Corn Craze community in general is just fantastic, and the way we all engage together, and the way that it's just so, friendly, and it's almost like a family. He admires it, and he thinks it's awesome. So anyway, the positivity that I heard from Brothrow today, I just wanted to relay that to you, because there are other people who notice how cool our community is. I showed him our Discord group. Man, he was impressed by the Discord group too. Everybody I show our community to, everyone I tell about Corn Craze, they're like, I'm sorry, what? You have a 17,000 follower YouTube channel only talking about Nebraska football? Don't you run out of shit to say? I'm like, no. Like, the people who watch the videos are psychopaths like I am, and they'll consume every bit of Nebraska information that's out there. I don't understand it. I thought there was only one of me, but there's thousands across, not only across Nebraska, because then what people say is, oh, you just found the craziest Nebraska fans in the state. No. I found a guy in the freaking Philippines who gets up in the morning, stays up late, and watches Nebraska games from the freaking Philippines. He's like, what? Yeah, guys in Kuwait who do the same shit. They're like, Kuwait? I'm like, yeah, it's wild out here. Nebraska fans run deep. I mean, it's weird. Not that it's a bad weird, it's just weird because there aren't many fan bases that are this passionate. There are a few, but they're few and far between, let me tell you. I hear good things about you guys all the time, though. Cody says he got his dad to subscribe to Corn Craze today. Shout out Cody, shout out his dad. I love to hear it. Everyone's talking about Hornsby. Here's the deal with Hornsby. I'm going to shut this down real quick. Everyone's saying we need Hornsby. Listen, I wanted Hornsby too. But it doesn't sound like we're getting Hornsby. Hornsby was rumored to be a Nebraska lock because of his relationship with Matt Rhule and because he was recruited to Baylor back in 2018, something like that, 2019. What happened was there was a sequence of events that transpired. The first event was Houston came calling. Houston said, hey, Nebraska wants you as a wide receiver. That's cute. Let us make you our next quarterback. You remember Greg Ward? Well, they've given him hope. Now, what happens after that? Barry Odom, the defensive coordinator at Arkansas, moves on to a head coaching job at UNLV. What's Barry Odom do? Oh shit, I'm at UNLV. There's no talent over here. You know what else there isn't? There isn't any speed. There's not at least 4.3 speed. There's not Malik Hornsby athleticism. I don't even know what conference that is. Is that the Mountain West? Doesn't matter. He calls Malik Hornsby up and says, hey buddy, Nebraska wants you as a receiver. Houston wants you as a quarterback. Houston's cool. You're from Texas. Come to UNLV. You'll be the best player on the field. I'll make you a star. I'll build the offense around you. Sounds intriguing. Sounds interesting. Whereas the call from Matt Rhule is, hey, listen, you can come play for me in Nebraska. You'll compete for a spot at a position you've never played. Want to come? I mean, let's just be real. Fantasyland would say we get Hornsby. Reality says, Hornsby's going to go follow his dream of being a quarterback, and he's going to go to UNLV or maybe Houston. So that is my thought on Malik Hornsby. I hope that answers all the questions because I've seen at least a dozen comments about Malik Hornsby. Judy says some of these comments are a scream. Judy loves the comments. Judy's a fan of all you guys. Like, Judy talks a lot and hypes me up, but I'm telling you what, she loves the Corn Craze community. She goes through there and reads every comment, she told me. She commented one time, she said, Connor, I read every single comment on the channel. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I do it every day. I was like, wow, Judy, you're a diehard Corn Craze sub. She loves all you guys. See, we got JJ, we got Gary, multiple in Philippines. We got Chris from Bellevue, Nebraska. Trevor says a little late to the stream. Maybe you already covered it. How are we feeling about the defense? I haven't talked about defense at all. I'll touch on defense. Here's my initial thoughts. What we learned from TCU and Michigan was that the 3-3-5 can be successful against a Big Ten team. It can work. So any doubt that people had about, oh, well, 3-3-5 won't work in the Big Ten, oh, that's been shut down. So we've already discussed, and I've already said, they're going to run multiple fronts. Matt Rhule's not going to say we're exclusively running the 3-3-5. No. They're going to come out in the 4-3. They're going to come out in the 3-4. They're going to come out in nickel. They're going to have different packages that allow them to play and succeed against different offensive formations. That's a fact. I can tell you right now. But if the 3-3-5 is the base, let's say 3-3-5 is the base D, it looked pretty damn good against Michigan. If that's what we're getting, ching, I'm excited. I'll just say that. Grant says, how many QBs is too many? I'll tell you what, scholarship QBs, you don't need more than 4. That's a lot. 4 scholarship QBs is max. Nebraska's got 6, I think. I think they got 6. That's a lot of start. That's a lot of QBs who aren't going to start and aren't even going to play. Minnie says I don't gamble, but I may start because of this channel. Minnie, you better not freaking gamble. You let me gamble because I know what I'm doing. But if you don't gamble, don't jump into gambling because I do it. Speaking of gambling, I made a pool on ESPN, and we already have our winner. So there was a college football bowl pick'em. I said we'd do it for merch. So here it is. Where is it? The group is this one. Corn Craze Bowl Picks. So I think we have a winner, right? Nope, we don't have a winner yet. It's come down to whoever this is. I can't tell what this... Oh, Steven. Tennessee Vols. All right, he's not even a Nebraska fan. He's just a Corn Craze fan who joined our group here. So he's in competition with Riley. I think just Riley. It's between Riley and Steven. One of these two is going to win the Corn Craze pool for a college bowl pick'em. And whichever one wins is going to get merch from me. So, yeah, that was about as much gambling as we've done as a group. But it ended up being really fun. We had 218 people in this Corn Craze bowl pick'em. You can see my picks here. I had some good ones. I had some bad ones. Overall, I came in 14th place out of 218. I'm not mad about it, but I wasn't trying to win merch. I already have enough merch, so I want somebody else to win, so it's okay. Weston, thank you for the $2 chat. He says, do you think Harbaugh will go to the NFL? I was baffled at the comments I received the other day. Let's go through them. So I received some comments on this post. Community. Take a drink of water, my throat's getting dry. Okay, here's the post I said. Or here's the post I made and what I said. I'm almost certain Harbaugh leaves for the NFL now. So what direction do you think Michigan goes for their next hire? This was 2 days ago. I said this before all the things popped up online saying that Harbaugh was fielding NFL offers. But when I made this post, there were a lot of comments questioning what I had to say. Ross said, why would he leave? He got Michigan to the playoff. Totally understand that comment. Johnny said he can't see him leaving. John says he doesn't believe he leaves. Where else? Fapple says he's 100% not leaving Michigan. John from Coronation said he could become a legend if he stays, and he doesn't think he's going to the NFL. Dream and Digital said, what's the incentive to leave? I mean, there's a lot of people who are basically saying they don't think he'll leave, which I was surprised by because he already tried to leave last year. William said, what's your rationale? Anyway, the point is, a lot of people said that he was staying, he wasn't leaving. The reason I believed he was leaving, let me get chat pulled back up. The reason I said he was leaving is because he tried to leave last year. And then he went this year, had the exact same outcome, and he didn't have a good recruiting class. What does that tell you? What does that tell me? I'll tell you what that tells me. This coach is similar to a coach over at Wisconsin who was quote-unquote fired from his job 2 months ago. Why was he fired and why did he accept that firing? We're talking about Paul Chryst right now from Wisconsin. He accepted that because he didn't want to be a college coach, because there's a lot that goes into being a college coach. Recruiting all offseason, you got to do the transfer portal, the NIL, you got to deal with players opting out, cultural issues, just so much that goes into it. College football is changing. It's not the same college football that Paul Chryst started coaching in or that Jim Harbaugh started coaching in. I don't think he wants to be a college football head coach. I don't think he likes the way things are going. Why does he have the number 17 recruiting class in the country? Does that not ring off a million alarms around your head? Michigan went playoff, and in between sandwiched, they had the number 17 class in the country? The math doesn't math. Anyway, that was one thing that made me feel like Jim Harbaugh wouldn't come back. But the glaringly obvious one was last year. He interviewed for a job, I think it was for the Minnesota Vikings, immediately after the playoff. Why didn't he take it? Because he didn't get it. Because they didn't offer it to him. No team offered him. So he goes back to Michigan. What happens at Michigan? Home run. He has another season just as good. Arguably better because it was more impressive that he was able to beat Ohio State a second time when they were prepared to beat him. When Ohio State was fully prepared for what Michigan was going to throw at them, and they went in and did it. Anyway, if he gets a job offer from the NFL, Jim Harbaugh is taking it. That's my opinion. I'm going to stick with that. So everyone who's saying that they're surprised, even Dion, look at this comment. WTF, what do you mean you're certain he's leaving? Where are you getting this from? People were just like, oh, he's trolling. But yeah, he's not leaving. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised that people are saying he's not going anywhere. I mean, this makes literally zero sense. No, it makes all the sense in the world. Anyway, I'm going to get off the Jim Harbaugh train, but I made that comment the other day and people were surprised by it. So I just wanted to clarify. That's why I think Jim Harbaugh is leaving. Denver has called. The Denver Broncos have called. I believe the Carolina Panthers have reached out. And who knows what's going to happen in the next few weeks, if other teams are going to call or how that'll go. But if Jim Harbaugh has a chance, peace. That's my opinion. Anyway, let's get back to chat because I miss you guys. And I want to make sure we get everything answered. It's 8:30 my time. It's 10:30 in Nebraska. It's 11:30 in New York. And it's 383 live viewers right now, talking about nothing. Thank you for being here with me to hang out. I appreciate you guys. Everyone's saying, let's get back to this. Let's talk about the 3-3-5 because everyone's saying TCU gave up all these points. TCU got worked on defense. TCU could not score at will the way they were scoring over and over and over without getting worn out on defense. If you look at the beginning of that game, and if they would have managed that game differently, TCU would have held Michigan to less points. To start the game, TCU went on a 21-6 run. Their offense was getting worn out. And in the second half, Michigan made some major adjustments. Michigan never at any point was in a situation where they were going to win that football game. Never. Not even at the end of the game they weren't going to win. Their defense did just enough to win it, and they had just enough packages to screw Michigan up to win. You don't need to be a dominant defense to win games. You need to be a defense who's good enough to win games. TCU's defense, the 3-3-5 defense, is good enough to beat Michigan. That's the point. You don't have to have a defense that's going to hold them to no points. That's my opinion. So, and again, the 3-3-5 isn't the only look they ran with, and the 3-3-5 isn't the only look that Nebraska's going to run with. So, go back to what I said previously about Nebraska's multiple fronts and why running a 3-3-5 set as a base D is not going to be a problem. Evan says, don't skip my super chat. Okay, Evan, I'm going back to it. Where is it? Evan, I don't see your super chat. I see Jerry's super chat. Evan, tell me what you said, and I'll answer your super chat. Repeat what you said, and I'll find it. Jerry, thank you for the $2. Early Big Ten West winner prediction for next year. Wisconsin. I hate to say it. Wisconsin is going to return a lot of guys, and more importantly, they're going to bring in a quarterback named Tanner Mordecai who can light it up. Luke Fickell is going to have that team rolling right away. He knows what it takes to win in the Big Ten. Wisconsin's going to be back to winning 9 games next year. No problem. Another team who would be good, I don't want to say them. Not Iowa. Because Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, Purdue are all kind of in the same boat. They're all in a rebuild, right? Illinois is in a rebuild because they're losing some guys on defense and on offense. They're going to bring in Luke Altmaier at quarterback, but I don't know who their running back's going to be. I just can't say that there's any team who sticks out like Wisconsin sticks out. Anyone could win it. Again, it's going to be a weaker Big Ten West, just like it was this season. But yeah, if I have to make a prediction right now on the spot, I'm saying it's going to be Wisconsin. Okay, Husker Nation said he sent 2 other $5 super chats. I'm looking for them. Okay, here's Evan. Thank you for the $10, Evan. Thank you for being a member. How would you grade the Big Ten's bowl game performance so far? It looked solid at first, but now I'm not sure. The bowl game performances, just straight up, they don't matter anymore because we're not watching the teams and the coaches play in those bowl games. People are literally quitting on their teams and moving on. It's kind of a joke. It's like, why are we even participating in bowl games? Why does it matter if everyone's just opting out and doesn't even want to play in the games? It's not real competition because we're not seeing the entire team. But at the same time, here's how you developed your depth. Let's see it. I wouldn't give a grade to the Big Ten. It's not like we saw anything that was spectacular, but we also didn't see anything that was atrocious. Wisconsin had a really good bowl game. I'm trying to find Wisconsin right now. Wisconsin won by 7, I think. Yep. Wisconsin won 24-17. They almost gave it away on a back door to Oklahoma State, though. They played terribly in the second half. Another Big Ten bowl game was Maryland, who pulled one out against NC State, but NC State didn't have anyone. To be fair, Maryland didn't have their top 3 NFL receivers, but either way, we didn't watch a complete game from either of those 2 teams. Michigan just got worked. There's nothing to say about Michigan. Iowa won 21-0, but they didn't have any significant plays on offense. I think they had 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick 6 for 60 yards. So Iowa played a depleted Kentucky, and that wasn't very impressive. Penn State beat Utah without their starting quarterback. I mean, I loved Penn State. I thought Penn State was going to win that game, but they dominated a team who was with a one-legged QB. What's there to say about that? Congrats to Penn State. I'm glad they won. I won a lot of money on them, but what am I going to say? They like I said, they beat a QB-less team. Is that impressive? LSU beat Purdue 63-7. So Purdue didn't have anybody. Purdue sucks anyway, but Purdue didn't have anybody. Illinois lost by 9 to Mississippi State. Realistically, they lost by 3 because of that last second throwback that went for a touchdown. But Illinois was playing a team who was extremely motivated, and Illinois just didn't have enough juice to keep it going all the way through the game. So, yeah, it's hard to rate them. Hard to rate that. I wasn't too disappointed, though, because every team's working with what they got, right? That's just what they can bring to the table right now with no coaches and with very limited players, especially on that starting lineup and especially when it comes to guys who are going to play in the NFL. Okay, let's see. Husker Nation, did I get your super chats? I'm pretty sure I answered all your super chats. Evan, I know I got your super chat. And if I didn't get your super chat, then put your comment here again and tell me that you sent me a super chat so I can respond, because I don't want to miss any super chats, but it's hard. There are a lot of freaking comments in here. There are 400 people in here right now. But thank you for everybody being here, and thank you for the super chats. Gonna leave this comment here from Galactus. William says, props to Alabama QB for playing. How cool is that? To see a Heisman quarterback who's a for sure first rounder risking it for his teammates. Same with the defensive end. What's his name? Number 31? Why am I blanking on his name? I say this guy's name every single day. Will Anderson. Will Anderson and Bryce Young both played. Very rare. Very rare. Dash Camera says coaches have contract incentives to make and win bowl games. That is very true, but not when they are bought out. Not when Jeff Brom gets bought out by Louisville. Then the incentive is to get your ass to Louisville, skip the bowl game. We got new priorities. Steven says drop the bowl games and add more regular season games. You know, it's interesting. I don't know how things are going to go when we go to the 12-team playoff, but the bowl games, at least the top 12 bowl games, are going to matter a lot more, because now these teams have to win to make the playoff. So one thing that Josh Pate has said, which makes me nervous, with the 12-team playoff, there could be some NFL guys who just don't want to play in it. They're like, screw it. I can't risk playing another, whatever it'll be, 3-4 games just to, it won't boost their draft stock, just to win a ring for pride. They're not going to do that. So I'm very interested to see how these players react when the season essentially gets longer. High Mountain Guy says bowl games don't matter. Come on. Everyone in here has starved desperately one for years wanting one. And how about the players? Disagree. To be honest, it's High Mountain Guy. I usually agree with you on all this stuff. I don't think the players care as much about bowl games as we think they do. Fans care. Fans want bowl games. Historically and traditionally, bowl games are a big deal. But not anymore, because if you're the best player, you don't want to play in a bowl game. Your goal is to say, I'm committing to Nebraska for the next 3 years, and then I'm leaving to the NFL draft as a first-round draft pick without playing in the bowl game. That's what these guys are saying on signing day. They're not saying it, but they're thinking it. They're not coming to Nebraska to play a bowl game. They're coming to play the bare amount of games they can play, the least amount, and then get the hell out and get to the NFL where they can get paid real money. That's their goal. That's what matters to them. Just saying it, just the truth. Now, when I say that, that's a blanket statement. There are plenty of guys who do care. Like we just talked about, Bryce Young and Will Anderson cared. They wanted to do it for their team, for their school. They had some pride. They didn't need to play in that game. They're both first rounders. But in general, as we've seen, the pattern has shown, they don't care. Evan, facts. Speaking what I would say as well. Miley, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate you joining the community. James, thank you for the $2. I always try to respond to all your super chats. I'm telling you, if I miss any of your super chats, James, Just tell me and I'll always respond to whatever you got to say. I met James in person in Omaha, for those who don't know it. James met me at a bar with like 7 other people. It was awesome. It was back for the Wisconsin game. He was super cool. Anyway, chili and cinnamon rolls. Gotta try it. There's just something that says that would upset my stomach. And it just wouldn't be something I'd want to do. Like, the amount of sugar that goes into a cinnamon roll, and then chili's already not that healthy. Like, if I come home and I eat chili, it's kind of like a cheat night, you know? Cinnamon roll with chili, I love the concept. We'll put it there. I love the concept. Roger says Colorado is now the land of the homeless. I don't know about that. I can confirm based on my drive home tonight, I live in the land of the homeless. I think LA makes up 30% of the homeless population for the entire country. And we only make 10% of the population for the entire country as a state. So why is 30% of the homeless population outside my freaking bedroom door? Ugh. I don't know about Colorado, though. I only been to Colorado once. So I don't know. Judy out here campaigning for you guys to hit the like button. So if you guys love Judy, if you guys love Corn Craze, if you support me, hit the like button to show some support. Appreciate you. Zach says, why isn't there an opt-out rule? You never see this in NCAA hoops. Have a huge tourney every season, see 0 opt-outs. Totally different. Way more injuries are possible, and serious injuries in football as opposed to basketball. I don't know what the stats are, but we can look it up. Do a breakdown, do a spreadsheet. I'll tell you what, there's a reason there's more opt-outs in football. It's a dangerous sport. Speaking of, Bean, will injury to Damar Hamlin cause more opt-outs? I mean, I don't know if that's directly going to impact it, but in general, anytime there are big-time injuries like that, it makes people think, You know what it made me think last night? First off, let me say this. As a fan of football, just in general, last night was really sad because it was like, wow, this thing that I love so much. I mean, you guys know how much I love it. I love this thing so much. It can also cause so much pain to these individuals who we don't know personally, but who we love and respect to some degree, right? Even if we don't know them all. So that was really hard for me last night. I didn't sleep well at all last night. Just so you know, I'm really freaking tired right now. I don't know if I'm twitching or anything or blinking too much, but I'm really freaking tired because I didn't sleep last night very well because of the Damar Hamlin thing. It really stressed me out. It made me really sad for him, obviously. Like, damn, this dude's out here doing what he really wants to do, what he enjoys. He's putting on a show for millions of people who love to watch it, and he's risking his life. It's sad. So anyway, I've talked about it in my videos before. These players risk their lives for our entertainment. They risk their lives. Football's a crazy freaking sport. I told you guys in my last live stream, I've had a shoulder surgery from what? Football. I've had a collarbone surgery. I showed you last time. From what? From football. I got a freaking plate in there for the rest of my life from football. 2 ACL surgeries from football. I've gotten hit in the freaking head, knocked unconscious during a game from football. Anyway, the point is this. Because players understand the value of their body. Guys like, this is a great example I was thinking about last night. I got off track. I wanted to get to this point. Andrew Luck, he's brilliant, right? Went to Stanford, super smart parents, raised in a really good house. I mean, he's going to be successful at whatever he does. Andrew Luck had the world in front of him, had the game in front of him, Hall of Fame aspirations. The guy walked away. I didn't ever read the reason he walked away. I don't know this to be true, but I'm going to assume he walked away because he knows the risk involved. He walked away because you're risking your life. You might not be risking your life immediately on the day of. Now, yesterday was unbelievable. Yesterday, to see that guy go down in cardiac arrest and almost die, and we don't know what's going to happen with him. I think he's still in critical condition. To have that happen was eye-opening. Before that happened, all that we thought would happen as a long-term result is you would have long-term brain damage, or your body would be so screwed up that you wouldn't be able to walk, that you would have arthritis, that you would have pain for the rest of your life, and that whatever you did in your 30s as a football player, 20s and 30s, you would be paying for in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? I want to be sensitive to the situation because it was really sad last night to watch it. And I really felt like some type of way about it. I'm telling you, I could not sleep last night. It took me till 3 a.m. to fall asleep because it stressed me out so much. And it made me so sad to think about that guy. No matter what happens with injuries, guys are going to take more precaution because the NFL, who's the leader in all of this, is putting out all of the information. They're doing everything they can to make sure all of these teams are doing what's right. They're doing everything they can to make sure targeting, personal fouls, late hits, and everything else is reduced drastically because that will reduce the long-term effects on all of these guys who are ending up with some serious issues. Think about all the guys who've killed themselves. I think Vincent Jackson was the most recent one. Killed themselves because of CTE, gone off the rails because of CTE, and done things bad to other people, right? There are some serious effects that come with playing football. Anyway, getting back on to more positive things. Jim, thank you for the $1 super chat. Let's see. Dash Camera says only boxing and MMA are more dangerous than football as far as big USA sports go. Basketball is nowhere near that, and neither is soccer or baseball, especially when we're talking about head injuries. Cole says he sees my shirt. Cole, you like my shirt? I like my shirt too. I got this one on there on the sale. The sale was in for Thanksgiving. I got a lot of stuff. Fire stuff. Ethan says, I know people are praising CJ Stroud for his performance in the Peach Bowl, but he was the reason they lost. 4 of 9 after Harrison got injured, which set him up and stalled out twice when they needed more yardage. You can't be perfect. You can't expect perfection. He played as good of a game as they could have hoped for. At some point, they needed their defense to come through. Their defense didn't come through at the end. At some point, they needed other receivers to step up. And it didn't look like they had, I don't know, they just didn't have enough firepower receiver. I thought they'd have more. I thought those receivers would be better, but they didn't look as, I don't know, as dominant as Harrison had looked in the first half. So maybe I understand your point about praising CJ Stroud might be a little over the top, but CJ Stroud had a very good game. After watching that game, I wasn't blaming that loss on CJ Stroud. I'd blame that loss on the fact that Georgia's the better football team, and they just happen to be hitting their stride towards the end. McFly Guy says, Luck said he was in chronic pain, wasn't worth living with it. There we go. I mean, you literally play football to be in pain for the rest of your life. It's crazy. Smokey says, NFL flag football before the decade's out. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the NFL is just going to continue to try and develop better equipment, take more precautions, alter the game a little bit, but I don't think they're going to shut down the NFL. And McFly Guy is exactly right here. I 100% agree with this. It was a totally freak accident that happened yesterday. Caden says, love what Matt's doing going after in-state. What are my thoughts? I've said it before in some of my recruiting takes. I just think it's awesome that Nebraska's focusing on making sure they don't lose out on some of the top guys in the state, because those are the guys who want to be here. Those are the guys who understand what it takes to, win in the Big Ten, because that's what they grow up watching. So I think it's really important they focus there. And yeah, I think he's going to do a better job than the last staff did. Miley, thank you for the $5 super chat. Bought the merch a month ago. Love the hoodie and the extras. Been watching since 2019. GBR. Miley, I've been making content since 2019, and I'll tell you what, that content I was making back in 2019, it was average. I wasn't as sharp. I wasn't as enthusiastic. I had never been on camera before. I had this setup, kind of, but I mean, I started off on a webcam. I had no camera. I think I had this one light, no overhead light, no background light. It was very average content. So if you've been watching this entire time, since I was, thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with the average content and waiting for it to get better. Because now, I'm really happy with the content. But back then, so-so. But thanks for being here and sticking around for so long. Gloom says my knees are destroyed from high school and college hockey. Yeah, dude, playing sports will freaking mess you up. Osox says, I love your input. Where'd it go? He says, I love your input in the Corn Craze Nation. I'm watching from San Jose, Iturbide, I don't even know how to say it. Guanajuato, Mexico? It's got to be Guanajuato. Guanajuato, Mexico. Keep doing a great job and can't wait for 2023 football season to begin. Go Big Red. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the Corn Craze Nation or the Corn Craze Army or the Corn Craze, whatever the hell we are. I appreciate everybody from wherever you're at watching, especially because it's 8:52 on a Monday or Tuesday night. Well, 8:52 for me, which means it's like 11 o'clock for a lot of you. LSU says blaming Stroud for the loss is just like us blaming Adrian Martinez for all of our losses last year. He did everything he could to win that game, just didn't have the support around him. I think that's kind of the point. He did what he could. He wasn't perfect, but he couldn't be perfect. He didn't have the support, and it, played out the way it did. But he put it all on the line. He was defeated at the end of that game. Let's see. Travis says he hates how Nebraska didn't even try to get Zane Flores. I think Matt Rhule tried, but Matt Rhule was obviously unsuccessful. He had zero chance because Zane Flores was already locked in with Oklahoma State. It was the previous staff who completely blundered that situation. 5-star, see you at King of Hammers. I don't know what King of Hammers is. You'd have to tell me what that is. I've never heard of that. Thoughts on Deion Sanders and the Buffs? Well, I've given a lot of thoughts on Deion Sanders and the Buffs. My latest thought on Deion Sanders and the Buffs? I would say I was hoping for more in recruiting. I will say I really like the staff he has put together, and I don't think they're going to be a bad football team next year. I think 7 wins is realistic for them. I think they're going to put up a serious fight with Nebraska, and who knows what's going to happen in that game. I mean, that could literally go either way. A rivalry, 2 head coaches' first years. We have no idea what either team will look like. They have a really good quarterback. They've got Travis Hunter, who's arguably one of the top 10 players in the country. He'll be a first-round draft pick. So, yeah. That's going to be an interesting game. Deion in general, I really like. I really want Deion to be successful. I think it's cool to see guys who have really positive energy go out there and win, and he has that. I love watching the vlogs his son puts out. Deion Sanders Jr. has a YouTube channel, puts out vlogs all the time. I watch all of them. They're just really interesting to see the behind the scenes of not just Deion's life, but the college football head coaching world. I want more access. I want to see more of it. I want Hard Knocks at Nebraska. Could you imagine Hard Knocks in Nebraska? I mean, everyone would watch it. College football fans everywhere would watch it. It wouldn't just be Nebraska fans. That would be beautiful. I would love to see it. Anyway, that's my thought on Deion. Christian says, based off our schedule, do you think we could possibly overachieve next season? I get the sense Rhule doesn't have expectations that we had for Frost or pressure. Overachieve 100%, because I think hitting what we expect would be 5 to 6 wins. Overachieving would be 7 to 8. 1,000% given our schedule. Nebraska plays in the Big Ten West, like I said earlier, and the Big Ten West is so right now. Nebraska could win 8, no question. Now, will they win 8? Yet to be determined. Will they win 5? Very confident in that. Will they win 6? I feel pretty good about it. Walt says, do you think Ryan Day stays at Ohio State? Yes, I think he stays at Ohio State. I don't think he would leave right now. I think he's got something special. I don't know how long he would wait until he goes to the NFL, but yeah. He's going to stay there for a bit, I think. Maybe another year. At least before he would leave for the NFL. All the ideas about about Ryan Day originally were that he could potentially leave for the NFL, and I think that would have happened sooner, because if you wanted to leave for the NFL, he already had the resume for it. So why leave now if he could have done it 2 years ago, right? I mean, maybe he couldn't have. My sense was that if he wanted to go to the NFL, he could have gotten a job. So, I don't know. I don't expect him to leave. I have not watched it. The new Coach Prime show is amazing. It's on Amazon Prime. Fitting. I need to check it out. I have Amazon Prime, so I will be definitely watching that. Nick, thank you for coming and watching tonight. Always appreciate you being here. 5-star says, King of Hammers is like Mad Max meets Burning Man. Johnson City, California. Okay. Any place that's called something City, California sounds sketchy to me, like a place I wouldn't typically venture to. And any place that's like a Burning Man mixed with Mad Max also does not sound like a place you will catch me in. So thank you for the invite. Send me some pictures. But no, I will not be joining you at Mad Max's Burning Man in Johnson City, California. No. Dakota, thank you for the $5 and thank you for being a member. How many players do you think will get drafted in the upcoming draft? Also, who will be the top 3 QBs off the board? QBs, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis. That's my prediction right now. In order, I would say CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis right now. That's just my guess. I thought CJ Stroud was really impressive in this last game. The fact that he ran was a big deal. There have been so many question marks around his running and his his willingness to show off that ability. And he really dominated the other night in that aspect of the game. How many Nebraska players do I think will get drafted? I don't think Mathis will. I don't think Garrett Nelson will. I mean, I don't want to be negative. Let's say one. One Nebraska player will get drafted. Christian, thank you for becoming a member. We appreciate you here. I'm pretty sure every single person has Cameron's last name spelled a different way. So it's Lenhard. LenhardT. Lenhard. Just like Connor is Connor. I know it's hard to spell my name. It's hard to spell Cameron's last name. I know. Connor. Connor. A lot of people love to say Conner. I don't know why. And a lot of people love to say Cameron Lenhart, like Lenahart. Nope, you got to add the D. Grant, just want to say thanks, Connor, for how awesome the channel is. The determination and amount of effort you put into the channel and your videos is very appreciated. I only do it for you, Grant. I do it for you and I do it for Judy. Thank you guys both for watching. With all of that, guys, this has been a fantastic live, but we've been here for a while now. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been 1 hour and 42 minutes. I haven't eaten. I've been on a plane all day. I'm extremely tired because I didn't sleep well last night. I'm going to have to work on some videos this week. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I definitely will have some content out. Oh, Trey Palmer is the one we'll have get drafted, by the way. I was saying I'm going to guess one. No, we're for sure going to have... We're going to have Trey Palmer and maybe Vokalek. Vokalek's on the edge. It'll all depend on the combine for Vokalek, in my opinion. Anyway, with all of that, guys, you're freaking awesome. And I can't wait to make more content. The off season's here, so it'll be a little bit slower, but I've still got videos coming. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for the last 2 hours. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Go Big Red.